So as of today, Lucas County has implemented a stay-at-home advisory. Do you think this decision will help bring down cases countywide?
I can only hope, Jaden. We've done a number of things, as you've seen and as you have participated in, to really engage the community. And I think that this is Lucas County's attempt to do that. The governor came into town yesterday. He attempted to do that as well. And we're really just trying to get people on board because we're suffering. And this is a big deal. The trajectory doesn't look good heading into the holidays. And, Lucas County is an organization that has a duty to the public to protect public health. And that's really everything that they're all about. They're not in a role where they need or can or want to be punitive in nature. And so it's all about engagement, really trying to bring on everybody, every member of the community, to let them know that they all play a role, and that even if individually they feel like they aren't worried or feel like their overall risk might be low, they need to understand that they play a role in spreading this virus to people who are at a risk. And so this is really just a plea for engagement, as I see it, and the health department really leaning forward to try to provide a good current assessment of the situation and provide and equip people with the right information and tools to make decisions that are hard to make, and to help people understand that this really matters.
Do you believe any changes need to be made to this advisory in order to make it more effective?
Jaden, when I come on and interview the news, or you in this case, it's not an uncommon question to get asked. And I think it's important to say that, when I answer questions, I'm answering from the perspective of a healthcare system. And so we're fairly myopic, and we look at it from a very narrow angle. And we know factually that the amount of separation that we get between people and large groups of people, the more that we deploy these techniques in our individual lives and as an organization, that we drive down the virus. And our focus, again, is the health of the people that come into our system, and our employees, and all of our team members, and the community too. But we also know that it's more than that. So outside of the immediate health impacts, there's financial impacts, there's social impacts, and emotional impacts, people's way of life and people's freedom. So those things really all have to be factored in together. And it is the role of our public officials to do that when they make decisions like this. So I think that when we see a statement, they're listening. They're listening not only to the healthcare systems, who, like I represent, whose view is very focused and very strict around physical health and well-being, but they also are listening to other people, including those people that might be a little bit more dissonant. And they hear their rights for freedoms and things like that. And I think their hope is to get people to think rationally about this, and think about doing something that's temporary and a minor inconvenience and is going to disrupt lives to an extent, in exchange for a better life down the road, and a shorter route to the end of this pandemic. So I think those are all things that could get considered when an ordinance like this is issued.
The state of Ohio has issued a curfew from 10 a.m. For 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Do you think it would help? Will it help keep hospitals from being overwhelmed if they aren't already?
Well, we appreciate any help from the state, and we know that anything that gets enacted that will limit that person-to-person contact, especially during those hours where we tend to see the behaviors that are associated with less use of the preventative measures. So when you close down the state, after 10 o'clock, that does eliminate a lot of the activity that occurs in bars and other after hours type of events, where people in general, not universally, but in general, tend to practice less masking, less social distancing, and all of those behaviors that we know reduce the transmission. So I believe that's the intent, and we definitely welcome any effort on our government's part to help create a healthier public.
Pfizer and Monderna both claim that their vaccine candidates are nearly 95% effective. Do you believe the FDA will eventually approve them? And then from there, how long do you think it will take for a vaccine to get to Northwest Ohio?
All right, so the data from both those companies actually looks really, really good. And there was also an announcement today from Oxford AstraZeneca about their vaccine and its efficacy for the elderly population, which looks equally as good. So all of these vaccines that we know have been in the works, including the three that we just talked about, look extremely promising. As good as our best case scenario. We need to look at the details. So we still need, even though Pfizer reported today that their safety data looks very good, we need to see the details behind that. That needs to be peer reviewed, needs to have expert opinion on it. But they wouldn't be releasing it, is my belief, if they didn't feel very confident about their safety data. So I think it's all really good news. It isn't going to be the flip of a switch. So it's going to take some time to vaccinate the entire population, since we're talking about hundreds of millions of people in the US and billions of people across the world. So this is going to take time, and it's expected that it's going to follow an orderly prioritization that involves vaccinating those who are at highest risk or those actually exposed, like healthcare providers, to COVID patients on a regular basis. But it seems to be moving with a full head of steam, where we are going to start seeing people getting vaccinated prior to the end of the year. But just with the sheer numbers that we have and the prioritization that's going to be followed, this is going to take a long time to produce enough vaccine and to get it distributed across the states, the country, the world. And so we're looking at all of 2020, 21 to be able to vaccinate everybody. And until then, we really need to focus on what we can do to slow it down.
Dr. Brian Kaminski, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jaden.